Okay, this is Mr. Reed coming at you live. Today we are talking about Rubric for paper number 1, and you're coming into this video having an understanding, a general understanding of how the paper 1 operates. If you have not, make sure that you you read some of my slides, some of the information I've already provided. Let's go ahead and get started. Criterion A, knowledge and understanding. For the paper 1, what you're going to need to be able to articulate in your writing is having a strong, especially if you're writing, you're going for a high mark here. You're looking for the main intentions, purposes um, of the work itself as it relates to the guiding question, if you are planning on sticking with the guiding question. So you're going to want to have an idea as to, obviously, like, what is the text trying to do? How does it operate? Who are the intended audiences of the text? And although context isn't necessarily required, it obviously makes for a more engaging read. It showcases a knowledge of how cultural, historical, political context might influence, or time and place might influence how the author projects a message, right? So think really back to our 3 areas of exploration there. Um, so yeah, like, who produced the work? Why did they produce it? What was the time period in which this text originates from? Those are all key things in helping you be able to address the prompt. And then from there, kind of a footnote is that this is not a paper where you are writing about a global issue. Yeah, of course, if is there an issue, let's say voting rights, who gets to vote, if that's prevalent within the work itself, then of course, like, you want to talk about that as it pertains to the prompt. But this is not supposed to be like the I/O, where you're really digging into specifically the global issue and you're linking the mechanics and the context to the global issue itself. No, you're sticking primarily to whatever the prompt is asking you to do. With criterion B, this is where that close reading really comes into place. And we have an understanding of context, we have an understanding of who the author is. We're really relying on this back channel of information, and thinking about the intentions and purposes of the work as it pertains, again, to the prompt. So, this is where you're going to want to look for examples of stylistic choices, structural choices, linguistic choices, rhetorical choices, and how, again, you're able to articulate the ways in which the text operates, right? So the response demonstrates an insightful, convincing analysis of textual features. There's a very good evaluation of how features and or choices shape meaning. And again, depending on what the prompt is asking you, this might be a really appropriate time to step into what I would say and really articulate this higher order thinking, critical thinking, using some of that literary theory that you've learned the last 2 years, right? Again, very much based on whatever it is. So back to that issue about voters' rights, is this an issue about people of color being able to vote? Is this about the poor being able to vote? If that happens to be working within the specific issue. Organization. Now, again, it all very much depends on the prompt itself. If the prompt is asking you about the unconventional nature or stylistic choices used in a text to implore someone to do something, then you're really going to want to dig into those stylistic features or whatever the unconventional notions of the text are. So maybe you really want to make sure you talk about in one paragraph, how metaphor is employed, or how symbolism is employed, or how certain examples of language like diction or synthetic personalization are used. And remember that organization also lends itself to, writing cause and effect thesis statements, or using a topic sentence. Having evidence, really pulling directly from the text. Please don't summarize, right? If you summarize, you generalize information, you just paraphrase, you're really doing a disservice to your ability to articulate main ideas. Having a conclusive sentence as well as maybe transitional sentence. The last one, language. Again, this is kind of more clear cut. Um, Grammar, spelling. This is stuff that's really going to matter on the paper one, as well as being able to employ your register here. So really articulate what you know about this course, and being able to academically infuse that within your work so that it's not just you describing things, but really building that register. Very last thing I want to talk about today, and then let you to it, is that although I just talked a lot about the paper one, what you will notice is that this is very much